Hey guys, today we're gonna analyze this instructive endgame. It is white to move. Is this a win or a draw? I will explain it soon. Keep watching. Okay, this is the endgame king and queen versus king and pawn in the 7th rank. But this is a rook pawn, and rook and bishop pawns are going to be a little problematic in these endgames. For example, if this was a central pawn or a knight pawn, the endgame is going to be won more or less easily. We just have to force the king to go here, so there won't be a threat of promotion, and then we bring our king in that turn, and we repeat that idea. So for example, like we use some checks, we put the queen in the right square, and we force the king to go in front of the pawn, and then we bring our king, and then we repeat the same idea. We give some checks, we put the queen in the right square, and we force the king to go in front, and then we advance our king. That's what happens with a central pawn or a knight pawn, but with a rook pawn it's going to be different, because when we try to do this plan, giving some checks and forcing the king to go in front of the pawn, we won't be able to advance our king, because it is a stalemate now. Black king cannot move. Actually, to be able to win in this endgame king and queen versus king and pawn with a rook pawn, we need the king in one of these squares or closer to the pawn. That's like the good zone to be able to win in this endgame against a rook pawn. Something like this is going to happen with a bishop pawn, and we can give some checks, we can get closer to the king, but at some point when we usually force the king to go in front, as this is a bishop pawn, they can try this option, king h1, and the problem is that if we capture the pawn, it is a stalemate now. So this is a draw unless the king of the strong side is in one of these squares. This is like the good zone for a bishop pawn. If our king is in one of those squares or closer to the pawn against the bishop pawn, we will be able to win the endgame. In the position we are analyzing today, our king is clearly out of the good zone. So anyone could say this is just a draw, we are not winning. However, there is a tactic sequence here that is going to allow white to get the king into the good zone. And it is by playing the move king g6. When we play this, we are breaking the stalemate position, and black needs to move the king somewhere, g2 or g1, and then we can move the king again, and now we are in the good zone. And look at this, this is discovered check with the queen. So black needs to move the king, they cannot promote. And once they move the king, well, this is the endgame we have studied previously, and we said this endgame is going to be winning. The other question, how is this winning? Well, usually the plan against a rook pawn or a bishop pawn is by creating mating nets, and that's what we are going to do here. We're going to put the queen very active, and then we will create a mating net with the king and the queen. So we make some moves here, like queen here, and then we go to the 2nd rank. That's the main goal, like the first step. And black is going to play here king back, and then this is the good moment. Our queen is in the perfect position here in the 2nd rank. So this is the right moment to bring the king. When black promotes to queen, they could think they have a draw, but it's not like that. We can play here king g3, and black is in a very interesting mating net here. There's no way to escape. Here white is threatening mate here, here, or here, and also there are some checks over here depending on what the queen plays. So well, this is just winning the game. Notice black queen doesn't have any good check, like queen here, or here. They are all losing the queen. If you have something to say or to ask, feel free to write it in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next.